When has the church been at its best, and when has it been at its worst? Well, it'd be easy to provide details, obviously, and answer. The church has been at its worst during, say, the Crusades, or religious wars, or Salem witchcraft trials, or when it's split over petty issues. We all know this. It doesn't take a great deal of intelligence to be able to point these weaknesses out. And in modern popular culture, we like to do that quite often. It's easy to be able to become cynical about the church. But the church has also been at its best many times during its history and in many places around the world. When it starts hospitals, when it founds orphanages, when it provides education and agricultural expertise, and when it serves the poor and the outsider and the outcast and the disenfranchised. Generally speaking, when the church tries to maintain either its establishment or cultural privilege, when it wants to be an institution for insiders, then it tends toward being at its worst. When the church is content to be more on the margins and serve those on the margins, it has tended to be at its best. It's very interesting to observe that for the first 300 years of its existence, the church was an outsider organization. It was persecuted by the Roman world. It occupied a position of a marginalization, and it did not enjoy any kind of cultural privilege in the empire. And yet, when we look back on that period now, though it's dangerous to idealize it or romanticize it, we see that the church grew and made a pretty significant impact on the culture. And yet that whole time, the institution that it created, the doctrines that it developed, its practices, its liturgy, its offices, most everything that we look back on and see as important for the life of the church was shaped during that period when it was occupying a position basically of outsider status. And that should be a telling principle for us, that instead of angling for power, we should be content to stay in the margins, as best we can anyway, and serve Christ there. So I think that's the general rule that we should follow. Now, sometimes God purposely lifts up people, a William Wilberforce, for example, who do have insider status, and then in those cases we should use our position and power responsibly and with humility and great caution as we try to serve God as insiders, whether in politics or in higher education or business or whatever it happens to be. So that's my answer to the question. Thank you.